This album, I think it was them again, just trying to combine their slow stuff with their fast stuff, and I think that they
Gotcha.
really succeeded with that. It gave them a good template because again, they knew they could never top Rain and Blood, and also the time period. I mean, that it came out in like Rain and Blood was 86, South of Heaven was
Yeah.
88. This is 90. Um, because like this is what many people consider like their last good album, which I have to
I
disagree.
mean, not,
But
yeah, I wouldn't
they've
say
never
bad.
really like anything they put out after that. They've never really topped, but they still have some great uh songs. Because like after that they kind of got older and they kind of some of like they got kids or they got married or they just sort of they never stopped being heavy. They, Slayer never sold out or became like Metallica
No,
or
no, no.
whatever. Uh, and they never gave into the whole grunge movement. They stayed strictly Slayer. But nothing they did after that
They
really
gave
came
in
as
to the new metal movement a little, but that's for
they.
another day.
That's for another day. They also tried to do a punk covers album, and
I
it
mean,
was.
okay, that's bad, but at least that's like on brand a little. Like
It is for sure,
they
for
they
sure.
have their influences, so
It's true. They didn't sell out. No, it's true. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. That wasn't committing a crime at all. Like they did a pretty good job of covering most of those punk songs, and it wasn't like they were covering pop punk. Because if they did, I'd be like, okay, well,
they covered like teenage dirtbag.
yeah. Can you imagine Tom Araya covering Weedas? You teenage dirtbag.
um, but yeah, I think you got a point. It's probably their last iconic album,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but yeah, they're just, I don't believe any band really. There's no band I can think of where they just have one. Well, there's a few. Probably
Mm-hmm.
they broke up after it. But
Mm-hmm.
like if you keep making albums, there's for sure some good stuff on there.
Yeah.
And it's just like they had a good run. Like that's an insane run of like 5 albums that are like pretty iconic in metal history, and then and you don't really
Mm-hmm.
owe anyone anything after that.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is just gravy.
Yeah. I mean, I still love Divine Intervention, but I know it's not as good as Seasons. You know,
It
like
could have
Seasons
been.
is
It could have
yeah.
been. If they had
No,
like
it was
edited
just
it or cut it down a little.
well, also
But
their production on that album is so bad. Like they were recording in the same studio as like the guy from like I think Wildflowers by Tom Petty.
oh no.
Yeah, and like it was just a disaster. It's a terrible sounding album, but it's still really,
Wasn't
really
Rick
good.
Rubin on that one too?
I'm trying to see. I think
I
Divine. I think
think
he
Rick
was on
Rubin
there.
did a lot of them, and a lot of them are bad, production
He
wise.
was executive. Yeah, he was executive, and Toby Wright,
Oh, okay,
similar
okay. Well,
dude.
that's not the same thing.
Uh, Seasons in the Abyss was Rick Rubin and Annie Wallace, and so they were with him for a long time. Um,
Okay, wait. Yeah,
yeah,
so he did produce seasons of this. Then why does it sound worse than Rain and Blood,
I have
like
no
production
idea.
wise?
I really have no idea. It just sounds very trebly. Like I don't know. It doesn't sound.
Yeah, the
There's not a
highs
lot of
are
bass.
way too high.
There's a lot. There's too much mids going on. That's the problem. There's just like too much mids going on, and there's not really like a lot of weight to the riffs, but the riffs are all crushingly heavy.
Yeah,
It's just I don't know. It's like when you
yeah.
hear
When we saw them live, it was just like way better. Well, I mean, that's
I
just
know,
true of Slayer of anything. I think
uh,
probably.
but like when you hear the Black album, does it doesn't like hold a candle to the production of the Black album? You know, like
Oh
it's
no, no, no.
Metallica. They have a bigger production budget, of course, but um still I think like Hell Awaits is probably their worst sounding album for like production wise.
Yeah, it sounds like a closet.
Oh, it sounds so bad. The bass sounds terrible on that album, you know. But I mean, it's still like a classic album. I don't know. I feel like I can't hear it. I mean, if they remastered it, I'd still listen to it. But for me, I'm so in love with just the original and like how it sounds, and
How cruddy it
you know,
is.
exactly. That's what I need. You know, I need that cruddy old sound.